going to say something that I don't think is controversial. Maybe some other people would think it's controversial, but I don't. More men need to read romance books. I think that if they were to read romance books, they wouldn't be so angry. They would not be in this 48 laws of power type of BS. I remember I went to a program, and the program was about giving men their flowers. And I went just like this. I raised my hand. I was like, hey, I have something that I would like to share, if that's okay. And it was like, please do. And I was like, I think that men should read less nonfiction books. I do. I really do. One, because they're not reading it correctly. Like, you should not be reading 48 Laws of Power in one sitting. It's kind of like a reference book, you know? And like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that shit. Like, yes, I feel like you should want to better yourself. I do feel like self-help books are what they're supposed to be. I think if men were to read more nonfiction, especially romance books, I think it would open up their mind to what is possible, especially contemporary romance, right? Because I feel like, just stay with me. I feel and know that some of them lack imagination, which is why they only think that you can go on dinner dates. Only think that women want them for one thing. And instead of being like, let me think outside the box when it comes to creating something for this person who I happen to like, let me try something different. I think that they lack imagination, but I feel like if they were to read romance books, it would expand their imagination. It would also give them some insights to what women really like. Because you remember when they had that 50 Shades type of thing? And I know that some of the girlies wasn't really with that because I feel like those books were written very poorly, but that's just my opinion. Okay. And if you were like me, you were in high school reading Zane and things like that. So those were kind of like, okay, grammatical errors everywhere or whatever. But I'm going to give you a hot take. And I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but I think you should listen up, especially if you are a man. Okay. Let's talk about romance books. If you are a man, I need you to read romance books. Stay with me. I need you to read romance books because romance books would help you expand your vocabulary. They would also help you expand what you think women like. 3, they would help you plan better dates. And 4, I'm gonna give you the fourth one. They would actually help you be kinder and have more empathy, right? I think, and I know that if you are a man and you're like, okay, I do want to start reading more romance books because I feel like it would do me better. I'm going to give you some books that I think have like some of the best book boyfriends, right? Just let me give you first one, Human Resources by Aria Daze. First thing, this is a short king, okay? He didn't care that he was short. He wasn't on social media. He wasn't on, Bumble or anything like that. Like, I'm 6 feet knowing that he is 5'7", right? He kept it real. He watched her, not in a stalky way. Okay. We're not talking about stalkers. He watched her to learn what she liked. And so when he was ready to put his plan in action to make her see him for something other than a person that he works with, that she works with, he came correct. He bought her gifts that he knew she would like, not things that he liked and thought, well, I like it, so I'm just going to give it to her because this is what women like, right? He was very thoughtful in what he knew about her because he had been watching her. He'd been having conversations with her and actively listened to get to the bottom of who she was as a person. And then he made that known by giving her beautifully curated gifts based on what he knew. That's a book boyfriend, right? That's what we need. Consideration. This Is Mine by Midnight. The main character in this story, the man, is Mason Kingsley. Was so emotionally mature when he dealt with the other main character, Lila. He was emotionally mature because he recognized that he was not going to push her to make a decision based on him wanting to be in her life. He gave her space, he gave her time, he showed her who he was because he knew that she had been hurt previously. So he wasn't trying to force his way into her life. He made a space for himself. And in that space, he was able to show her, like, I don't want to add any more stress to who you are and what you're doing. I recognize that you have some things that you've dealt with in your past, as most people do, but I also recognize that I want to be in your life. I want to be an addition to your life. I don't want to add on any more strife or heartache or anything like that. I know you have a lot going on. You have your own business. You have all these beautiful things that are happening within this community. So all I want to do is to be a part of this. And I want to add to what you already have, right? He wasn't trying to come in and be Billy Badass and be like, I am going to, knock my chest to be like, I can give you money to do all these things. No, he showed up. He stayed in his space, but showed her like, hey, if you need me, I am here, but I'm also keeping the pressure on because I want you to know. I want you to really know that I'm interested in you romantically. This was one of the sweetest books that I've read about a couple who met online, but shared something very powerful, and it brought them even closer together. This is Sweet Serenity. And Wade Andrews, I feel like, is the perfect book boyfriend because he had dealt with a moment in his life that went viral. And because of that, he pretty much had agoraphobia. He stayed in his house. He didn't leave his house. And I think that was maybe for like 5 or something years. And Serenity saw him. And because of that, they formed a friendship, a bond, and that bond exploded out into a romantic relationship. What I appreciate about this book is that they had a meeting of the minds. He was open to hear what she had to say. And he cared about her so much so that when he saw that she was having a moment of crisis, he took it upon himself to step out of his comfort zone to be there for her in a way that saved her life. And because he saw the signs, because he was actively listening to her, he realized that, wow, this person is way more important than anything in my life. What I also appreciated in this book is that Wade was dealing with a lot of anxiety and mental health challenges, but he was actively working on that before he got into a relationship. And then even within the relationship, he was still going to a therapist to help work his way out of this. The other thing that I really truly appreciate is that he was open to a different modality of helping him break out of this jail of his house that he was in. And he allowed Serenity to help him with that in a safe and positive way. And so they were able to do a kind of Dom sub type of thing, but he was open to this experience because he trusted her. And it didn't make him feel any less of a man, but it also gave him a greater sense of freedom. And so on the scale of a book boyfriend, I would say that he is up there. Now, I know that on social media, there's a lot of yapping about women who have multiple children, right? This book, The Fire We Make, Harrison was the man. I'm going to say that. He was the man. He was the man for a few reasons. One, he was very emotionally mature. And I say that because he was the executor of his grandfather's estate. His grandfather was still alive, but he had to go into rehab for alcoholism. And so he was given the task that, one, he did for less money than he should have. Two, he was dealing with so much family drama because people wanted to use his grandfather's house as a playground. And then three, he also had to deal with being a firefighter. Like, he had a lot of shit happening. And then on top of that, he meets Roxana. Roxana has 5 babies. And she is dealing with, one, the loss of her second husband. She's also dealing with a deadbeat daddy and her first husband. And she's dealing with her children, her work schedule, and fighting her ex-in-laws. And so with all of that going on, she's like, I don't know if I have the space to be with someone else. But Harrison was not going to be deterred. Harrison was and is in this book a man of his word. He showed up. He made sure that he told her, listen, I am going to be here because I want to. I am going to be here because this is important. You are important. And because you are important, your children are also important to me and my life. And he didn't allow any of the naysayers, family, friends, whatever, to come in between them because of their view of her being a mom of 5 and being a twice divorced person and widower and then twice a once divorced person. He stood his ground because he knew what he wanted and he wouldn't let someone else come in and tell him what he could and could not do. And I think this story with Harrison is a good example of a book boyfriend because he didn't let outside influences dictate what he should be doing when it comes to his love life, right? I think that's something that we see a lot of with people who, especially for the main character, Roxanne. Roxanne was a big, beautiful, curvaceous woman with 5 babies. And we know how on social media that can cause a problem because we have a lot of red pill content, unfortunately, that tell you that women lose their value when they have children. Okay. Harrison didn't think that. And he made it known that he was not to be trifled with, that his family was not to be trifled with. And he stood up and said and told everybody, like, this is mine. All of them, plus this one, this is me and mine. So for him to stand up, to be proactive in Roxana's life with her children and to step up was something that I think for a contemporary romance book is a very good indication of how you should show up for those women in your life. I'm just saying, like, listen, this is one of the book boyfriends we talking about. This book, I think, was a really good example of when it comes to being in a relationship with friends and the friends to lovers, right? So you have Toby. Toby is friends with Leilani. They have been friends since high school. They tried dating in high school, it didn't work out. And now they are 30 somethings with beautiful careers. And, you know, she's a little bit of a mess. She is, but he loves her all the same. This was interesting because in these type of tropes, you know, you have one who's like, we can't do it, we can't be together. But Toby made sure that one, he followed through with what she wanted. And she didn't want to be in a relationship, a romantic relationship, but she wanted the physical side of it. So he did that for a spell. But he always made sure that she understood, like, listen, if you give me the okay, we are going to take this to the next level where we are going to be together as you are my girlfriend. Like that is the end game for me. It was no, like, this is a situation. He's like, no, my end game is you and I being together. He was very upfront with that. It wasn't a game for him. The other thing is he saw her for who she was. They have been friends, like I said, since they were in high school, and she was dealing with some things and didn't recognize that she has a diagnosis that she needed. Because he knew her, because he was focused on her and wanted her to be better, he realized that, oh, she may have a disability and might not even know it. And so he did his due diligence to look up that information first and then brought it to her like, hey, I think that you should maybe look into this. He didn't come and try to stuff it down her throat and be like, hey, you need to do this because this is what's going on with you. He gave it to her as a friend would, because before there was any romance in this space, they were friends first, and he still treated her as a friend. Right. And I think this was a really good book to show how you can go from friends to lover, but still have that respect. Like, I am just your romantic partner, but you are my best friend. And as my best friend, I want the best for you, even if it's not with me. I always want you in my life. I'm always going to be upfront and honest with you, but these are the things that I want from you. And if you can't do that, I'm fine with that. I'm going to take it as I see it for right now. And then if I don't want to do it anymore, I'll step back. But we are always going to be friends first. And I think as a book boyfriend, you know, learning how to navigate that and not be a creep he showed exactly what that book was. Gives you two sides of the coin, right? You have the one side where you have a fiance, and this fiance is a load of shit, right? This is not who you want to show yourself to be. Then you have Rome, who is the fiance's brother. And I know you may be thinking, hold up, sis. I thought you said that this was like book boyfriends that I should try to check into for contemporary romance. Stay with me. Now, Rome, oh, I forgot to tell the title of the book. The title of the book is Hear My Heart. So Rome is the brother of the fiance. And he sees this young lady for who she truly is. Her name is Nakara, and she is deaf. Her fiance treated her as if she was an option, as if she was just a placeholder, something just there. Rome saw her for who she really was. Rome, because he wanted her to know that he saw her, decided to learn sign language, decided to take her out to things that he thought she would be interested in. And he also made space for her to tell him or to create boundaries when it became too much. This, I think, is a perfect example of what that looks like when you are not coming to a person in a romantic way, but you're coming to them as I want to get to know you platonic type of way. Now, I'm not going to say there isn't the tension of wanting to be in a romantic relationship. But the first thing is, I want to know you as a person. I want to show you that I am invested in learning more about you. I am invested in showing you that, hey, I get it. I am this person, and I know that your fiance, my brother, ain't doing what he's supposed to do. So let me show you what it could be like if you had someone who truly cared about your feelings, who truly saw you as a person and not just as a placeholder. I hope that these books, these book boyfriends, allow you to see what is possible. I hope they will allow you to expand. Like, if I am thinking about being emotionally available, if I am thinking about what does it look like when I'm listening to my partner, what does it look like when I'm showing up, not just for myself mentally, but I'm showing up physically for my partner and showing them that I care about them. What does it look like to have consideration for my partner? I always say that romance is not romance, right? Romance is consideration. It is showing someone that you care about them by doing the things that make them happy while also being happy yourself. But it's always going to be about not just putting that person first, but showing them why you were putting them first, showing them how you were showing up for them. The same things that you would do in a friendship, right? Your partner should be your friend first and then your romantic partner second. So I hope that if you are new to the bookish space and you are interested in being like, I want to look at these books to see how can I show up better for my partner, or how can I show up just to be, maybe give my friend some advice, right? You want to be that guy to give your friend some solid dating advice. I hope that you get something out of these contemporary works, these book boyfriends, if you will. As always, if you like this video, subscribe, like, and let me know which book you're going to read first.